Today's leadership in film was Star Trek Nemesis. Now, the main question, the main point of this film and the main leadership concept is, are leaders born or are they made? Because Star Trek is a fantasy, as a science fiction, there's a lot of metaphors that can be used to describe, nature versus nurture. Like, is this how someone's born, or can they create themselves to be this way? Do their circumstances make them this way? And I think that these circumstances, like, they do shape people more than how they're born. One of the characters is a robot. He's an android named Data, and a robot by nature does not feel human emotions, but Data, being around humans and wanting in the pursuit of knowledge to experience all of the human things, has progressed past his natural stage. He's made the conscious choice to become something more. And so we see him sing and dance and love other people in just the same way that a human would. In fact, at the end, he ends up sacrificing himself. And it's not like I'm a robot, my programming is to die for a human that I'm serving. It's like, you're my captain and I want you to live. And I'm going to value your life over mine in the very end. And I think that's a really cool metaphor. And that we can go beyond our nature. We can become something new and more beautiful than before. And I think that the idea, are our leaders born or are they made, is really played out a lot with the main leader of the movie is the captain, Jean-Luc Picard, and he's this very stoic, very kind-hearted individual, and he leads his troops with bravery, and he loves them all, and they're his family. And the nemesis of the film is a clone that the exact same genetic makeup as him, but does not choose those same things. And the clone has very different, harsher life circumstances. The clone has been really abused and living in this great captain's shadow, unknown to any of the main characters throughout the film. But in the end, when Picard offers his hand to the clone and he says, we can make, you always have a choice, and I know that you are me, or you feel the same, you think the same as me, the clone makes the choice not to. So I think that we always have a choice what to do. It's not what we're born in, and it's not the cards that we're dealt. It's the intentionality behind what we do with the cards that are dealt. In my own life, I think this past year I've walked through some very difficult times, but a Bible verse that I remember a lot is from James. It's the very beginning of James, and it says, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, because you know that these trials will produce steadfastness, and let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. And it's not, I wasn't born a leader or born the man that God has called me to be. And these hard things that I've gone through did not make me the man that God wants me to be. It's the intentionality of myself taking those lessons and making the steps to become everything I am called to be. That's what makes me a leader. Or at least, I hope that I can call myself a leader. And I think that, a master craftsman can take fire, a destructive substance, and use it to purify gold. That's a leader. So leaders, in fact, are made, not through harsh or good circumstances, but by their own intentionality. Another concept that was really focused on in this film was the modes of conduct, the instrumental and terminal. And it's interesting because there's the terminal modes of conduct are kind of the things that your core values, and your instrumental values are the ones that, you know, they can change from thing to thing. And while we see the good guys really do have their terminal modes of conduct, you know, they will die for each other. They put each other first. They value all human life. They value, well, you know, not just humans, because there's aliens in this. So, you know, they're valuing all life, and, you know, they're self-sacrificing, and they're the heroes. You know, but instrumental, their modes of conduct can change from situation to situation because they respect other aliens' customs, and maybe they'll do something a certain way and be a certain way, and that doesn't mean that they're changing who they are. And I think that they've really built up their own value system as a ship aboard the USS Enterprise, and it's really cool because you can see, you know, the way that they interact with each other, and they value their human life, and it's all a metaphor for the same way that we do on planet Earth. You know, the same way that we, and it's, you know, it's not even really a metaphor. Like, they show weddings, and they show, you know, relationships, and they show friendships, and they show camaraderie on board this ship the same way that we have that on Earth. And I think, you know, the Nemesis of the film, Nemesis, you know, he's this clone of Picard, and it really shows that, like, just because you're born one way does not mean that, you know, you can have the same genetic makeup and choose different choices. And that's really the whole thing. You know, your values, you choose your values, is what I'm trying to get at. So yeah, there weren't as many concepts on this one, but I really think that the leaders being born or made is an interesting debate. And I'll say there's another piece of science fiction media that I thought really did an interesting job of this. In the Star Wars universe, there's, you know, this big war called the Clone Wars, you know, which is an army of clones is made. And there's two different versions that have come out of TV shows for this. One's 2002 Star Wars Clone Wars, and, you know, one's 2008 Star Wars The Clone Wars. And in Star Wars Clone Wars, they have ARC troopers, which are specially bred clone troopers that are like the commanders, and that's where we see Captain Fordo and some of those ARC troopers in that storyline. But then in the 2008 version of the Clone Wars, there's characters like Fives and Jesse, and they're actually promoted from ground rank clones, and they're made into better heroes. And so I thought that was interesting, that it's like the creators of those two different those two different versions of this story, almost had different takes on it. Like, some can be, you know, some is like leaders are bred, is what the first version was saying. One was saying leaders are made. But from my own personal experience and from the lessons in Nemesis, leaders are leaders sort of choose for themselves, I think, is the main takeaway.